Okay, let me do some shout outs. So glad you are all here. Maria from Argentina. Serious. Wow. Bonita from Australia. Ellen J from right here in Arizona. Natalie from Akron, Ohio. I was born in Canton, which is near Akron. Trudy Turner from Michigan. Brittany from North Carolina. Heidi Weimer from Rexburg, Idaho. Hi, Heidi. And Land Jumul from North Texas. Thanks so much for watching, you all. So good to have you here. Let me do some questions here. Tiffany says, knowing how the state ran their last case, my question is, do you think Brandon will testify in the beginning, middle, or end of trial? Oh, that's a good question, Tiffany. I could see him being first and setting the stage, or being last and being memorable. If I had to bet on it, and I don't have any inside intel, I would think he'd be first toward the beginning and really set the stage and paint the picture of how he was on his way home from the gym when he was shot at. That's memorable when you have the victim on the stand. And then end with like a cop or something, which is what they kind of did in the last one. But I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. Melanie or Anne asks, where is Melanie, the niece, living now? She's living here in Arizona. Of course, she remarried Ian, and yeah, they're living in the area. I don't believe we'll see her at the trial, and she's kind of laid low and is raising her kids, and I think trying to put this all behind her. And I know many of you have asked if I'm going to interview her. I'd love to interview her. I've extended the invitation to her, and I hope that happens one day. Natalie says, is Lori watching your Courtroom Insider? Is she allowed access? She's not allowed access to the internet, but her attorneys could show her anything they wanted. I know in Idaho, they showed her the Dateline episodes. They showed her Sins of Our Mother. They showed her other media coverage. She knew she was on the cover of People magazine. And maybe they're showing her every night. Lori, if you're watching, hi, let's talk. Come on, Courtroom Insider. You can call me one night. We'll do a live phone interview. And we'll open it up to questions from our viewers. You all can ask her a question, and we'll see what she says. I don't think that's going to happen. Could you imagine if suddenly she did call? Anyway, she's not given the internet in jail, and I believe they transport her over very early to the courthouse so that she can be ready for trial. We had somebody send us a box for Lori. I don't know if I told it to our newsroom. It was like a box of food and some clothes for her. And I didn't know what to do with it. So it's sitting there. Marilyn or Marilis, what happened to the items from the storage unit? The police seized those items after we went in there. They took all of that. I believe they kept it as evidence in case they needed it. And I think it may have been turned over to like Kay and Larry. I need to double check though. I'm not sure where. I know that they took them. And the reason the storage unit facility, one of the reasons he called me is he knew it was in the news, but also Lori hadn't paid her bill. And what happens on those storage units is if you wait, I don't know, 60 days, 90 days, whatever's in the contract, they auction it all off. Well, he didn't want to dump it. He didn't want to get rid of that stuff. And they didn't dispose of it, but it is somewhere. I just don't know where. Do you know if the gun that was used to shoot at Brandon is the same gun that malfunctioned while shooting at Tammy Daybell? Ooh, that's a good question. I could see it being the same one. I don't know. But Brandon was around October 1st, 2nd, October 1st and 2nd. Tammy was shot at October 9th. We know that it malfunctioned most likely because Tammy parked in a different driveway than she normally parked. And that meant Alex, who was in position, had to then run to shoot at her. And because of that, the expert, Nick Edwards, testified that particular gun, if you jostled it, if you shook it a little bit, the pins could become misplaced, and therefore it's not going to fire, and you get that whooping sound when you shoot the gun, like a paintball, which is probably why Tammy thought it was a paintball gun. I don't know if it was the same weapon, but that'd be fascinating if it was. How is Emma Daybell still depositing money into Lori's commissary account? Helen says. I don't know, Helen. I don't know if she is. I would doubt that. But maybe she is. I believe she's helping her father, Chad Daybell, with money, but I don't think she's depositing money. And how is she doing it? Anyone can do it. Anyone can, as long as you have their account information, you can send money. And I know there are people that do it. And I know she asks for it. Penny, would you ever interview the Daybell kids if they would concede? Absolutely. I'd love to talk with Chad's kids, and I think I would be fair to them, and I would hear them out and ask them, some questions and hear what they have to say. But yeah, I'd love to. Hi, Nate. We live in British Columbia, Canada. My wife and I have followed you from the first time you went to Hawaii on the Vallow Daybell case. Could you please give a shout out to my hero and my wife of 54 years, Joy Nikiforik? Joy, thanks for watching. I bet you're a joyful person. To be married to your husband for 54 years, you have to be a joyful person. Just kidding. I don't know him. Thank you so much for watching in Canada. And I appreciate that. Joy and Vic. Amy and Mesa, why was Lori in orange and cuffed for the jury? She wasn't. Today, the jury was not in there. The only time she can dress in normal clothes is when the jury's present. So today was outside the presence of the jury. So she was in cuffs, she was in leg shackles, and she was in orange clothes. When the jury arrives on Monday, she will be dressed up and she will have that rack belt underneath her clothes. Catherine says, I think Lori should be held in contempt of court for talking that way to the judge. Well, you're not alone, Catherine. A lot of people say that, but think about it. If they held me in contempt of court, I have to go to jail or I'd have to pay a fine. And I wouldn't want to do either. That would severely impact my life. If Lori Vallow has to go to jail, okay, she's already there. If Lori Vallow's issued a fine. She doesn't have any money. I don't know what it's going to do. Sometimes that could elevate a defendant if you said, I'm going to hold you in contempt, which is that case I referenced earlier, the guy that told the judge to do whatever. He said, I'm going to hold you in contempt. And he said, do what you want, mother effer. And it just elevated it. So she could be held in contempt. It's not really not going to do much. Brandon says, are there any updates on a possible interview with Summer after all the text messages were released in the last trial between Lori and Summer on Adam's movements the day before Charles died? That's another person I love to talk to. I'd love to talk with Summer. I'll reach out and maybe we can do an interview while I'm here if she's willing to do it. And maybe if you all have questions for her, I could put those to her too. I know that Summer has been friendly with me in communicating, and she's not afraid to answer questions that I have for her. And I've always appreciated that. So, but more questions, of course, did come out of the last trial for sure. Is Ian Pawlowski going to give evidence at this trial? That's what Eileen says. Nope, he's not on the witness list. And in fact, in early October, I don't even think he knew Melanie. They met on an app later, I believe in early November, and then got married 9 days later. And so he was not aware of this in October. Now, maybe down the line he was told, but at that time, as far as I know, he was not aware. Graham and Gramp, is there any penalty that the judge can give Lori for her disrespectful behavior? I don't know. I mean, I guess he could. Well, Brian David Mitchell, remember Elizabeth Sparks' kidnapper? They had to build a special room in the courtroom because all he would do is sing hymns loud and preach. And so they put it in the corner of the courtroom, walled off. There was a window. It was soundproof. Sound was piped in so he could hear, and he could scream and do whatever he wanted the whole time. I don't think Lori needs that, but he could maybe take a break or whatever. I don't know. Violet, is there any way you can find out how Lori's getting bleached for her hair? That is not allowed in commissary. I don't know. I thought I heard someone say that there's a very limited number of hair supplies that are allowed. If you know Maricopa County Jail, I need to research that. There's so much I need to research. I wish there was endless time. Then I can check into that. But yeah. Hogan says, where are Charles's kids in all of this? They are laying low, very low. They have moved on with their life. They're young men now, young adults, and the two sons that he has, and then Colby, of course. We've heard from Colby on and off, and he's, moving on. But yeah, that's where he's at. Do you hear her voice change while speaking to women versus men like the judge? I think she might act a little differently when addressing a woman versus a man. I'll have to listen to the hearing this morning with the female judge. But yeah, that could be interesting to hear if there is a difference. I know when she interviewed with Keith Morrison, her tone was very different than when she interviewed with Brianna from the local news station here in Phoenix. Very different interview. So I think it depends. I think a lot depends on the mood she's in too. You know, it just depends. Do you think the prosecutor will bring up the video from the storage unit with the tire from the Jeep? That's a good question. I think so, but I don't believe so. There's your answer. That's not an answer. I don't believe so. I think it's really strong evidence, in my opinion, because we're able to zoom in and analyze it and talk about who walks like this. And oh, there goes the tire, and there it's moving out, and there goes the car seat, and it's moving out. It's good storytelling, adds blocks to the story, puzzle pieces. But when it comes down to it, the prosecutor has not subpoenaed the owner of that unit. Now, the video is police evidence, so it's possible the Detective Hermosillo, who is going to testify, could speak to that. He's also going to speak to the fact that he sees the Jeep. And maybe they'll go down the line of questioning where, okay, you seized the Jeep. Where did it go then? And meanwhile, you went to the house, and what happened? I mean, we could see some of that, but at the end of the day, it hasn't been brought into the other trials, and I don't know if it'll be brought into this one. Nate, what is CrimeCon? Will you be speaking there, and where is it? Ah, CrimeCon is happening in September in Denver, in the West this year. And yes, I'm going to be speaking at it. I'm going to be doing at least 2 panels, and I'm so excited. They haven't announced the subjects yet, but you can probably guess what one of them will be. And the other one, I'm happy to say that I had a big hand in booking. And it's somebody that does not do a lot of these type of events, has never done CrimeCon before. And I think it's going to be fascinating. So you can go to CrimeCon's website. If you use the promo code Eaton, EATON, you get 10% off a standard badge. I don't get paid or anything for that. That's just a discount I asked if they could offer for you all to go, because I know that many of you want to go. And Erica's coming with me, and it's going to be fun. We've gone before. We've gone the past few years. Ames89, what's the difference between standby and assistant counsel? It seems like I've seen others with standby counsel that sit with them at the table and play a more active role than what Lori has. It's all up to her. It's all up to her. In the trial, there were days she wouldn't consult with them at all. Today, she was consulting with them a lot, and she would consult with different attorneys depending on the day. Today, Robert Abernathy was much more involved with her, sitting directly next to her. During the trial, many days, the paralegal was involved with her. It's kind of how she was in Idaho. There were days she was really mad at Jim Archibald, and there were other days she was mad at John Thomas, and so she'd go to one or the other. It's all up to her. If she wants their advice, their counsel, she can confer with them as much as she wants. But they're the same thing. Advisory, standby, same thing. Does she have an attorney for this trial? If not, why is she defending herself again? Sharon asks. We kind of talked about that. She's defending herself because she wants to defend herself. And that's what she's doing there. All right, everybody. Before we go, I want to show you where you can find me. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, X, and Instagram, and East Idaho News YouTube channel. Appreciate you following me everywhere, and appreciate not literally following me everywhere, because if you did that, I'd call the cops. But thank you for following me on social media. Thank you for being here tonight. Before I go, I have to say hello to my wife, Erica, who is feeling a bit under the weather tonight. So think about her if you wouldn't mind, and send all the positive, happy thoughts and prayers and wishes to her, especially because I'm away and she's home with the kids. Last day of school tomorrow for our daughter, for Emmy. She had 6th grade graduation right before I left. I went to her graduation, and then I hopped in the car and drove here to Arizona, but I was able to be there. I get 6th grade graduation is a thing now. It wasn't when I was a kid, but now it is. And if you missed her interview, I got to show you. Today the photos. I'm sorry. You can log off if you want now. You don't have to stay with me anymore. But we had this young woman who's organizing a reptile expo. And they offered to do an interview with Emmy. I'm like, yeah, come on in, bring a few of your animals. They showed up with 5 snakes, and I posted these on my Facebook page. Oh, shoot. There we go. Okay. If you go to my Facebook page, Emmy was terrified of these snakes. Like she did wanted nothing to do. This photo of this snake around her neck, it was there for maybe 5 seconds. And we took the picture and she set it down. My boys, especially Elliot, was in heaven. He could have cared less. Maybe because he's 6 and he doesn't quite understand the snakes. None of these were poisonous, by the way. But this snake loved Elliot. Everett, my son here, loved the bearded dragon. And it's funny because when I was in 6th grade, we had a class iguana named George. And I got to take him home during Christmas. This little guy reminded me so much of George. And Everett loved this guy. And then this dude who looks like a rattlesnake. It's not a rattlesnake. It's a shoot. Actually, I think it's in the comments what type it is. Sorry. It's called a oh shoot, I don't remember. You all know, I'm sure, you snake experts. Anyway, we had this one, and then this 12-foot snake python, I believed. Boa constrictor. I'm so bad. This guy was so friendly and so tight, so heavy. I carried him around our building. He was so heavy when I went over to show some of our colleagues that my shoulders felt like they got a workout. And someone's messaging me, Nate. And then there's Elliot loved this little dude too, this long dude, and then he loved this snake. And there we are with the big one. And there's our family holding all of these big, fun, cozy, cuddly critters. And there we are, scared for our lives. You can watch Emmy's interview at east.idahonews.com or on our YouTube channel. There's a reptile expo this weekend that I think the kids are going to try to go to. I'll be here in Arizona, but I will be back here tomorrow night, Courtroom Insider, as we get the jury, posting live updates tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.